YouTube. So you may be asking, what kind of cowboy piece am I working on? Well, sometimes when I put knife, it doesn't allow me to monetize. So it'll be a cowboy style knife. And I've been doing some dry fitting on it, and I have it here with a piece of elk antler for the handle, a forged hot fit guard, got a nice little not little, but a nice drop point blade right there. And we're definitely going to need a poured pewter pommel. But before I get to that point, I really need to get this cleaned up some. Now this has been forged, it's been normalized, it's been ground, it's been quenched. Now let's make it pretty. Now this is a primitive piece, if you will. So I'm not going for something that is perfectly clean by any means. What I'm going for is I'm looking for rustic, handmade, homespun goodness in this particular piece. And before we get to that point, be sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification button. And as always, be sure to tell your friends. So I've got an 80 grit here that I swear is lasting longer than any zirconium oxide or than any zirconium belt I've ever used some more. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart. And I just need it to come apart a little bit. You see, we've got a substantial tang in that, and I will be serrating the tang so that the pewter has something to lock into. Locks on just a little bit better, and that can help. Now, where are my gloves? Here's a glove, a second glove. I got my gloves. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take this down to 80 grit just because I think it's going to remove some of that scale and stuff just a little bit better. And then I may go to 120 in the Scotch-Brite. We're going to just see how it works. It's cleaning up pretty nice already. I'm actually from Central Illinois. How's it going? bad. Now I don't want to take all the teeth off of the rasp because frankly that's kind of what I'm going for as far as the look of that particular piece. And I'm going to take a worn 120 ceramic and I'm going to clean this up just a little bit more before going to a surface conditioner. Once more, if you haven't subscribed yet, great time to do that, and be sure to check out some of our other videos and links in the description. Cleaning up okay. Well, I'm liking this quite a bit. So now we're going on to the surface conditioner. So not doing too bad on this really. So I'm going to use a maroon or red surface conditioner. But it's like, you being fancy right there talking about that maroon color. So that cleaned up pretty nice. That's about where I want that. Now, the fun part is trying to clean up a guard. Now this is one of the blade and guard combos from How to Do Hot Fitted Guards. And if you want to see a more involved cowboy knife build, be sure to check out a link in the description to Forge Your Memory Family. That's looking pretty good. About as good as I expect on something I want hammer marks on. Right here, this is all warm from friction, but while that cools off a little bit, I'm going to get things ready to go here. So next step of the process, there really probably not going to be any staining to this handle because it's got a nice natural look to it. Let me go ahead and lock this in the vise. And one thing I need to do is knock some stuff on the floor. And tap this on down. So before I do the pewter on here, I've actually got to do I've got to create a gasket here with some JB weld. That's what I'm going to be using, so that I get a good seal. JB weld. So it gets a good seal on it, and also, so if there's any gapping, that flows a little better visually because it will be closed up. All right. Nav, how's it going? Jake G462, I'm located in Central Illinois. We have forging experiences here. We have axe throwing. We have lots of cool, fun stuff. Okay. So I'm going to try to get everything in shot here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply JB weld around this opening right here. And then I'm going to apply some to the opening, the tang channel of the too many hammers in my way on the floor. The tang channel of that piece of antler, and let's see. After that, it's going to be putting everything together and letting it set briefly, where I will then heat up some pewter and do a pewter pour. So one thing I like about this, it actually, it locks everything together really well. And two, it's pretty quick to do so. Gives me a nice finish. Now, I'm not going to mix that yet, because one thing I do want to do real quick here, I want to serrate my tang. And what that's going to do, that's going to give points for the pewter to lock onto. And this is a technique that people used to use for doing just epoxy handles, and recommended. I mean, if you're making a small knife where you're not going to put a lot of stress on it and you're just going to epoxy a handle on, this is something else that can help you. Because it gives more than just a smooth surface, which this is far from a smooth surface, but it gives more physical points that the adhesive or whatever your binder is, allowing that to actually lock into that. So it's going to be going inside of that groove, and there's quite a few grooves there. So just going to take my 2-part JB weld, and this is the quick setting. I don't need this to flow everywhere. I need it to become a gasket, and a dark one at that. Now, if there's any leaks in this, if there's any space, I'm going to know when I pour that pewter, because it's going to come out. It will come out like water. So on this one, I know my fit up is pretty decent. So I'm not going to apply it real thick, but I am going to make sure I have plenty of coverage around the exterior here. Around the opening, the mouth of the tang channel, if you will. And I think that today and the next couple days, I will be working on assembling quite a few knives. So here I go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to give just a few light taps. Now, this is squished out all the way around the perimeter here. That's looking pretty good to me. I got to figure out how I want this set right about there realistically if we're going to go put that on. All right. So now, just kind of pre-measure, and I'm going to create my pommel cup. And working with pewter like this, this is just some HVAC tape. So some adhesive aluminum tape they use on ductwork and so forth. Found it works quite well for casting. Let's see. You got to be kidding me in Effingham. Where are you at? I was just wondering, the state never would have guessed you might be. Yeah, dude, I'm on Main Street here in St. Elmo, 409 North Main, next to City Hall. Come on over, dude. We've got axe throwing. We've got forging experiences. Usually make a bunch of YouTube videos. Got knives and axes we've made, swords, different cool things like that. All handmade, dude. So that's looking good. And you want to make sure that you've got enough adhesive right here. So, yeah. So you want to make sure that if this heats, this is going to start releasing. So don't overheat your pewter. Okay, next step of the process, I'm going to need some pewter. Oh, look, I have some pewter. But this one doesn't want to pour very well because it's solid. So let's make it liquid. First, I'm going to need some fire. So I'm just going to go ahead and start my forge, which that's pretty close to empty, so. I don't need to get this real hot. Melting point on this is probably a little over 400 degrees, high 300s, low 400s. And right here you can see that JB weld is starting to really set up. So good thing I didn't throw that away. That allows me to monitor that. I recommend, if you're going to do this, to definitely monitor your material that way. Quentin Sue Sturgill. We're not too far from Effingham. We are about 20 minutes down Route 40 or Interstate 70 from Effingham. So we're in Fayette County, actually. Dylan, how's it going? So guys, what I'm going to do next, to make this cowboy knife more cowboy, I'm going to go ahead and pour a poured pewter pommel. And let me turn this around. That is going to take a minute to heat up, but what I have here, you can see the pith and where the tang almost protrudes. It sets back in the handle, and I've got a tang channel there, and right here you can see the excess adhesive. Good to hear, Dylan, and thank you. All right, so I'm going to get my gloves, because when this goes molten, I'm going to go ahead and pour. And it probably won't take too much. Here they are. Now, if you're interested in forging, learning to forge, or axe throwing, anything like that, be sure to check out the Facebook link in the comments for Axe on Main Forge and Memory. And if you're in the area, just stop in and say, hey, sand it off. It won't be necessary. I'm going to show you how to remove that without having to sand it. Thank you for subscribing, Dylan. Much appreciated. And if anybody else would like to subscribe, I would appreciate that as much. All right, so now I have molten pewter. It looks kind of rough. Let me take one of my burn through tools and start skimming that off. Now you have to be cautious about air bubbles and gas produced, because it will erupt like a mini volcano. Do just a little bit of an overpour. That's looking good so far. That didn't take very long at all to do, really. Let me grab my torch. Now, if I get bubbles on this, which I really don't have, but if I want to make sure that any bubbles that might be just below the surface need to escape, I can heat that with my torch, make it a little more liquid, tap on my vise a little bit, and generally if anything's going to come to the top, within reason it will, unless it's something really, really important or I'm on a time crunch, and then I'm guaranteed that it won't. Now I just wait. Here we go. But you can see how shiny that is, and if I tap this, you can see how it's it just kind of vibrates because that's still liquid. But the cool thing about this is if it works right, and it doesn't always, but if it does, it makes for a near seamless fit up, which makes me really happy. When it works. When it doesn't, I learn new cuss words. All right. So as this cools, it starts to collapse in on itself, colors change and so forth. And I'm just going to let it sit for a moment because I poured more of a butt cap than a pommel. The handle was long enough, but I need the counterbalance a little bit. I needed it to flow. I need everything to lock together, and that's most important right there. So now I have the poured pewter. Actually, let me show you an example. Well, from the U.S. I've never been to the U.K. How is it? So guys, here's a little knife I made yesterday. My handle ended up being a little bit shorter than I wanted it to be, but it's a cool piece, very cool piece. And what this is, being that the tang passes through, that it's locked in here and clear through. So I mean, it's almost like a rivet almost. Different ways you can make cool cowboy knives. I use a similar technique, but I also pin the handle on this one. My Turtle Island Bowie, just a big D-guard recurve. Well guys, this should be cool enough to work with right now, so let's find out. Is it cool enough? It's definitely cool enough. Okay. So, next step of the process, you can use your fingernail if you want. I generally don't because this stuff's still pretty hot. And I like to remove the tape while it's still plenty warm because it comes off easier. And a fly tried to land on that. Wow. The ignorance of nature. All right. Well, what's next? It's probably this area right here I was just talking about. So I'm going to show you guys. It is, it's a full tang. It passes through. It's not a scale tang, but it is a full tang. Now, two things I like to use for this. I like to have a razor knife available, and I'll just use a toothpick. This hasn't fully cured yet, but that heat has really helped it. And if I come in here and just start working around, most of that adhesive comes off before it fully sets. So like on this piece of elk antler where there's a lot of grooves, there's a lot of texturing up there where the handle meets the guard, well, then it makes sense to go ahead and use the toothpick. Now, if it gets smeared on or you're just having trouble removing it, that is where a razor knife comes in pretty handy. But this is popping off pretty quick. And if I wait too long, especially with the heat is a catalyst. That's going to help set your adhesive. If I wait too long, that's not going to come off very well. And it's going to be more of a fight than anything. And then if there's anything remaining, I can come in here and just kind of scrub on it a little bit. All right. Well, so far that's looking good. So how warm is this? This is quite warm. But I've got a cool looking knife right here, guys. Let's make it look just a little bit better. That butt cap doesn't have to be real thick by any means, but I do want it to be even. Right now it is not even. Right now it needs a little bit of assistance in getting cleaned up. So I'm going to take a worn, kind of loaded 36 grit right here, and I'm going to clean things up. If you haven't subscribed, now is the time. I want my gloves, it's nice and hot. Cleaned it down, now I go around the perimeter. And while that works, I'm still going to go with the surface conditioner. Because frankly, surface conditioners, for their money, clean things up really well. All right, here we go. I'm going to clean off the end, and then go around the exterior. There you have it. Now, there's something I'm going to try. Now, I did a video where I talked about how to make white antler look awesome. You know, chalk antler, weathered antler. And what I think I want to do, let's see if I got it. I'm going to apply a little bit of stain to this just to see what happens. Maybe something, maybe nothing. Let me grab a couple paper towels. And what I have here, I have a mixture I'm trying to use up, and this is Minwax Dark Walnut Stain, boiled linseed oil, and mineral spirits. And this is what Cheyenne usually uses, just with the diluted oil mixture to do reveals on her handle material. But I'm going to let this set for just a couple minutes and let that soak in. So what I've done is I've taken one of my knife blade and guard combinations that I've worked on in some other videos and fitted that up to a handle. There's a little better example, a little closer. Cleaned up the blade a little bit because I want that texture. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it out of a rasp. I want the primitive look to it and matched it up with a decent piece of antler. Nice little piece of antler right there. Okay. Well, I've got it assembled. I've got the pewter butt cap or pommel. It's more of a butt cap. That is, that's poured and looking quite nice. Everything's looking really, really good. And I don't know, you tell me, did the stain and oil technique add a little bit? I think it did a little bit. Now, what I found is the stain itself generally works pretty good on its own, but I think the oil kind of keeps it from soaking in near as much, but it makes for a nice looking, I won't say authentic piece, perhaps. Guys, check that out right there. Let me come around here and we'll just kind of go over this knife real quick. Forged from a farrier's rasp. I've got a pretty good fit up. I have a very minimal, I'm going to show you this. And it happens sometimes when you got a little bit of gap right there. I have very minimal adhesive spillage, enough that I got it on the tip of that razor blade right there. So that is, that's cleaned up. And aside from sharpening this and marking it, now essentially it's just about ready to go in the case for sale or go online. Guys, if you like these builds, be sure to subscribe. If you don't like the builds, subscribe anyway and go check out some of the other videos. Tell your friends, hit that notification button, like, share, subscribe, and hope to see you soon. This one I would be tempted to keep myself, but I got to sell knives to pay the bills. You guys have a great one. Be sure to check out the links in the description. And September 6th and 7th, Cheyenne and I will be with Robbie Bowman at the Turtle Island Preserve in Boone, North Carolina. Eustace Conways from Mountain Men will be teaching down there. And hope to see you guys soon. If you're in the area, stop by and say hey. We'll catch you in a few. Later. Will do. Thank you.